Say hello.
Hi everyone.
I'm
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So the purpose of this is just so we can talk about Destiny and just our general thoughts on what like what gaming has become and like the sort of. No, I'm not going to do a strike. I'm going to do a story because if I'm going to be doing a strike, I'm going to be concentrating too much and I'm going to lose focus on what the hell I'm meant to be doing. So,
You're gonna carry me.
yeah, exactly.
Story
I'm gonna carry you through a story mission. So the purpose of this is just to kind of talk about, you know, A-League gaming these days. That gets released, gets overhyped, and then come release day, and there's just you always have your mixed bag of people complaining or having fault without it. And as you said before, like how all these YouTubers out there, you know, go absolutely crazy and make a scene over to get what I mean, like how just to kind of
Well,
get a
I
word
think
out
like
there. Yeah,
modern day gaming and hype is best epitomized by a game like Destiny.
yeah,
And like look at Destiny 1's release and how hyped it was, and
yeah,
to this day you'll still see people in every comment section regarding Destiny that this game is trash, this game is dead, and it's probably one of the best selling games of the last generation. And it's one of the most beloved in many circles. I mean, it has a humongous community. In fact, at DestinyCon over the weekend, they just raised what 1.3 million dollars for St. Jude's. So
1.2 million.
it's
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
1.3 million dollars for St. Jude's for children's.
I think it's a game that a lot of people are passionate about, and like myself, like it's been. I can't tell you the last time a game has really kept my attention for so long, where I've been really, engrossed in the whole.
3 years.
Yeah, exactly, for 3 years. I mean, I've played other games in that three span of over my like gaming history, but none of them has really kind of done such a good job in keeping my interest for so long and so consistent. uh, I mean, of course, like when you were younger, you had like Super Mario, but you didn't really have much of a choice to to play when you were a
No,
kid.
I've always been a gamer that pretty much goes through a game and goes on to the next
Yeah,
one.
yeah, I'll pick up a
Destiny's one of the
game.
very few games that really kind of made me addicted to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it
Like
be
it
the
is.
RNG elements, the lottery elements, or like the deep lore of the game.
Yeah,
There's some sort of magic about this game that addicted myself and millions of others. And
yeah, and I
you can sit
think.
here all day and try to debate what that is, and I'm not sure you could ever come to a rational
Yeah, no, I mean we can.
understanding of why this game pulled in as many people as it did.
I think a big part of the game is I think it's the community and just the camaraderie that you have when you play this game, because they've got some pretty tough challenges out there, and when you kind of go through these things with your friends and you've accomplished it together, you kind of that's when you create that sense of you know community with your friend. Yeah,
Think about the how young, comparatively Reddit is, right?
yeah,
Reddit hasn't been famous for that many years,
no,
but in the last 5, 6 years, it's taken off. And a game like Destiny, for me, the Reddit experience of going to Reddit during like Taken King was probably like the best time.
yeah, because that's where I found a lot of my.
And checking it, I woke up and the first thing I would do
Yeah,
is check
exactly.
Destiny Reddit to see if
Yeah,
there was any secret.
I remember that. I would wake up. I wouldn't be looking at Facebook. I wouldn't even open Facebook first or anything. I would be opening Reddit just to check and see what's new, what has been discovered, like what's happening right now. So I can definitely.
That live model for games and that community aspect is now
Oh,
the
I'm
new
dead.
norm. And
Yeah.
I do think it's hugely influential in regards to now most companies, like for instance Ubisoft, they rebranded themselves. Like literally their logo now
Yeah,
indicates that all their games are moving to this model of a live experience. Look at Final Fantasy 15.
yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 should have just been a one-off game, but they're supporting it for over a year. They're adding like timed events, timed hunts. They've added a year's worth of DLC.
That is.
That's what the video game industry has become, and Destiny is a huge part of that, especially on console.
I think Destiny is
that's why the
responsible
model.
for that in that sense because of the success behind the game. even though there was phases where people said Destiny's dead, Destiny's, you know, Division's going to kill Destiny, and because it was the next big, you know, console multiplayer that's done online with grinding and loot driven based gameplay. So I think that it makes sense to kind of go into that direction, because that's what people want these days. I mean, when I'm going to buy a game now, I usually think, okay, what's the replayability of this game like? Am I going to pick it up, finish it in a couple of days, and then never pick it up again? I don't play games like that anymore.
Now where a 50-hour game is now considered maybe
too short. Yeah,
for someone to invest $60 of their hard-earned money in.
Exactly.
And that's, that must be a really scary world to live in as a game developer, because now you now you have to create so much more content than has ever been created in a game.
I really wish I had kept this article that I read a while ago, and it was from a director from one of these from a game developer. It was a AAA gaming developer, and the woman was saying how she's been in the industry for so many years, and she said how stressful it has become working.
Is this the woman, Amy Hennig?
I don't.
Uncharted, and that she did.
I think it could have been her, and all she did was she said how the need and demand for in gaming in the industry in general has become so unrealistic that they've spent hours and hours of endless nights sleeping and programming games to an audience that is never satisfied. Like, they're completely insatiable in terms of what their needs are and what they want, and it's just
right. It's sort of like now games have become these little worlds that people expect to now not only game in and experience a story, but live inside of.
Exactly.
To live inside of a world like Destiny requires so much content and so much replayability that it's almost it's almost a dream in itself that any sort of game could ever be that living, breathing world that you want it to be. But that's the power of video games, right? Like, that's where we always thought video games could get to when we were younger, and we're I don't know if we'll ever quite be there, like the Avatar experience.
No, maybe in like 50 to 100 years, I guess. But
it's starting to look like it.
Yeah,
and it's starting to feel like it. So you just want more and more and more and more, and I think Destiny really embodies that.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Destiny as well is it creates that sense of escape for a lot of its player base, where, you know, you've had a busy day, you had maybe a stressful week or so, you jump on, you see your buddies online, and you just relax with them and just talk shit and just keep playing a game that's you can pick up and you just can keep going. It's not like you have to remember a storyline. Okay, where am I up to? What am I meant to be doing? You know, you can divert off the track. You don't necessarily have to keep the same like, oh, okay, I have to finish this story first. I mean, yes, you do, but it's the sort of game that you can literally just put down and you can pick up again straight away, and you'll swing right back into it.
That's the awesome community aspect, because it does have so many. You have so many people on your friends list that kind of only ever play Destiny.
Yeah. Like, I can.
They're not like squeakers. They're not like trolls.
No.
Just coming in and fucking with people. It's like real people that love the game.
Yeah.
That you can talk to about personal stuff, that you can. They also know the game, so you can talk game with them too.
Yeah.
So for me, it garnered a really amazing community, and that is probably the reason why it's hung on for so long.
And
I think a lot of that community aspect has stuck around through all of the droughts of content droughts and all the issues with the PvP metas and whatnot, because of the hope of Destiny 2 hopefully improving upon everything that Destiny 1 didn't quite get right.
So
they got a lot right.
So going back to Destiny 1, like when the beta dropped and when vanilla dropped, I mean, I remember riding along the Cosmodrome and just thinking, wow, this game is huge. And this was just during the beta, and I just couldn't get over how big this game was, and I just thought, wow, like, I can just jump down in here and do whatever it is I want to do, you know, like, that was one of the first games that I've experienced that's really given me that freedom. And then when we got to explore the moon, undeniably the gunplay. Yeah, the gunplay,
and that's what really hooked me, and I think every single other person to this game was saying, it's very hard for me to play other shooters when you have the gunplay of Destiny, like the weight of the guns, just the smoothness, like
I just
Everything about
recently
Gunplay is superior to every other game.
started
I
playing
don't think anyone
Battlefield.
can argue that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I just started playing Battlefield 1 lately, and as much of a gripe and hatred I had towards the game from the beginning because of gunplay, now that I've kind of mastered the gunplay in that game, I'm really, really enjoying that. But it just made me realize how easy and how basic the gunplay is in
It's
Destiny. Yeah,
intuitive.
yeah, yeah, it is.
There's an intuitiveness to the controls
Yeah,
that are on another level, and that's what hooked me to Destiny. And I was never like hugely into shooters
no,
up until kind of like, I guess Destiny would be the first shooter that
yeah.
I truly loved because of the gameplay.
My first sense of like online community came back when I was playing Halo a lot, and I did a lot of multiplayer online, and that was maybe like 10 years ago when Halo was in its prime, and with the launch of Halo 3. I don't quote me on those dates exactly, but I remember playing consistently playing Halo 3 online every week with my buddies, and that just comes down to Bungie doing getting it good with the gun control again. But
No, absolutely.
now focusing back on Destiny 1.
I know a lot of people that
Yeah,
became active in multiplayer games, or
because
I
of
know lots of
Destiny.
people that have played Destiny that they never really got on a mic before.
Yeah,
So they started talking to people because they had to to accomplish something like a raid, and that's an amazing feat too. That it actually made people start talking to one another in a game.
yeah,
And like Justin, I think my buddy, the first time he really got it, I think on a mic was for Destiny. I believe that's what he told me. So
yeah.
that's pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, I remember back on my Xbox days, I had like this little microphone that like a secret agent that like clips into the side of of your ear. So
I think I bought it for SOCOM back in the day.
yeah.
SOCOM had that.
Now, with Destiny 1, like I mean, if when you look back at what it was back then, it was a huge game, and I didn't really find it. There were times when I found it repetitive, but it didn't really bore me that much because there was a lot to do, and I found that leveling up was difficult. And once you've leveled up and you've reached max light, you really felt like you've accomplished something. And I like how
There's something like it becomes comfortable almost.
Yeah.
Repeating the same activity over and over again, it can make you feel there's a sense of ease to it.
yeah,
Like, I mean, maybe that's the addiction talking.
yeah, probably,
But,
yeah,
not to defend like completely overly repetitive gameplay, but I never really minded it, especially in year one when it came to grinding for things like exotics.
yeah, because it felt
That
worth
was
it.
my main draw and my main pull. So I did
Yeah.
the raid 3 times a week on
3
the
characters,
and
yep.
I would do Crota Zen and I would do Vault of Glass. So I was doing 6 raids a week at like the the highest point of the grind in Destiny 1. Because the exotics were so hard to get. But
And they were so
I liked
rare.
how hardcore it was.
And then when you eventually
Yeah,
got
like
that
the
exotic, you
amazing
remember.
feeling that you
Yeah.
got it. Oh yeah.
Like I
I
remember,
got exotics in year 1. I
yeah.
do not remember where I got exotics in year 2.
No, I don't. I got him I got him from Rahul. That's that's where I got my exotics in year 2, and it really.
I got it from what was the boss? Everyone, remember when they first introduced 3 coins in the first
Yeah,
King?
that mission on the
There was a certain boss that everyone went to. and
Yeah, on the
getting
Fallen
exotic
Catch.
every other time.
Yeah, on the Fallen Catches where you just
yes.
and I just felt that ruined the game because back in year 1, leveling was so difficult to a point where I was almost at the point of throwing my controller at the TV, but
It was too extreme.
It
too
was
extreme. Like, for
at
instance,
some
like the
points.
Crucible drops.
yeah,
It was like 1 in 600 chance. I think I read this on Reddit once.
for Iron Banner,
1
yeah,
in 600 chance of getting an exotic from an Iron Banner or a Crucible
Yeah.
match in general. I thought it was in general, but that's too low of an odd.
no, that was I
That-
definitely
you know,
agree with
600
you.
matches is kind of crazy.
Mm.
But then they went in a very about face direction with 3 coins. 3 coins to me as a hardcore player was simply too easy.
It
But I
was
know that there's lots of people out there that were very turned off by the difficulty of obtaining loot, and I think that's always been probably for Bungie's probably their biggest issue going forward was how do we satiate those two audiences: the people that loved the hardcore grind,
Yeah.
and the people that it turned them off.
But this
from
is the
game
thing,
and they
right?
stopped playing.
But this is the thing,
How
right?
do what's the happy medium?
Who are they going to cater to? Because I mean, I'm not, as you know me, I'm not a bad player when it comes to games. I enjoy a challenge and I enjoy games that's challenging. But I picked up Bloodborne and I picked up Dark. What is the other one? Dark Souls, and it just wasn't for me. It was too difficult, and I simply just didn't enjoy it because you had to be so strategic in your approaches with the battles.
There's a difference between like a hard game, like
Yeah.
actual techniques, like the
Yeah.
combat techniques are difficult to master, and the difference here is that it was the longer you play Destiny, the more likely you'd get the loot. So
Yeah,
it was hard
but-
to obtain loot. in
but what-
Destiny, but it wasn't hard to play.
But what I'm getting at is, like, I picked up that game. I didn't enjoy it because it was too difficult for me. Now, why can't these people who pick up Destiny and say, oh, this is too difficult for me, why can't they just put it down and move on to something else rather than complain and then ruin the game for the hardcore players like you, myself, yourself, and I know Dado as well. He was one to bring this up as well at one point. I feel like they've started catering too much in, like, as if it was a desperate attempt to get more players. You know what I mean? Like that's just.
Oh, they have, and like I'm hopeful for Destiny 2, but all the information that's come out this summer suggests that they're going more and more casual. Like, that's it saddens me.
It does.
I can understand some of the points as to why they're making these changes.
Yeah.
I just get a bit nervous that Destiny 2 could end up being a much more casual fest. And I want Destiny to be a game that I.
But the thing is,
load up at least a couple times a week. I don't want it to be like I did everything in Destiny. Now I'm just waiting for the next content release. Like, no, I want to be able to play Destiny every day and feel rewarded.
Yep. No, I definitely agree with you. But it's so frustrating because, like, you and I've been there. We've been there with, like, and hyping and talking about, okay, the new updates coming out, the new expansions coming out, but then we end up being, we feel shortchanged. I mean, look at what happened with the Rise of Iron. Like, we finished the story mission within a couple of days, and it was finished, and then we were just sitting around.
It was salvaged by one thing: that raid. If that raid was not up to the quality that was displayed with Wrath of the Machine, that DLC would have been.
It would have been a flop.
Would have gone. It would have been a disaster. But that one raid, and again, the raid
is what saved it.
In general, has saved this game.
It is. Yeah, it has definitely.
Like, the hardcore community really latched on to the raiding. In this game, and the raids are such like some of those experiences in the raids. They're such superb game design.
I mean,
some of, like, the best game moments of all time are from, like, Vault of Glass.
Yep.
King's Fall, the first time. Wrath of the Machine. Protozan,
Yeah.
But those experiences are, like, top tier gaming moments in my whole game career.
Exactly. Like, if you look back at, like, there hasn't been many games out there that's really where I'm playing and I'm getting to a point and I'm entering a scene or an area in a game and I'm literally going, wow, this is amazing. This is really mind blowing. Like, it really feels like I am inside this game and experiencing it. And Destiny is really good at doing that. Like, for example, like as you said with the raids, like you look back at Vault of Glass. One of my first memories is when I know this is probably not that huge, but when you come down and you see where the Templar encounter is, and you look up, how that storm forms before you jump down. And I happened to look up at this, and all I could see was this electrical storm above me with this huge area down there, and I'm not knowing what am I meant to be doing, you know, like just that excitement of entering the raid. And then Crota as well, as you said, it's not so much just, it was just, oh shit, I'm running through this maze, it's dark and I'm lost, help me. But with King's Fall, like the first encounter that you had with Oryx, like when he pops his head up and he comes crawling up, I was like, holy shit, like this is insane. And
the moments we live for in this game. I mean, that's why we keep playing. It's to get to that next moment, to get to that next big loot drop, that next epic set piece in the raid. Like,
Yeah.
That's what keeps this game going.
Like
Community.
I'm sitting here. I've obtained everything in this game that you can get, but I stopped using 3 coins. But I didn't realize that I had never have the Thagomizer gauntlets, and now I'm here grinding for gauntlets for my Titan, which I'm never going to be using. Like I'm not going to be using these gauntlets. But I need that tick on my wall.
People love Destiny because it gets the OCD out. Like, you want to collect every single thing.
Like, you need to complete this.
Or weapon piece, or every shader, or every ship. I mean, the collector in you, like, we've all collected things like Beanie Babies, Tamagotchis when we were little, like that.
Yep.
That sort of incentive is a big driving force in Destiny, and I do think that the newest information about well, twofold, like that exotics it sounds like exotics are more readily available in the campaign, which has caused some people concern. Which
yeah.
The other thing would be the random perks going away on guns and on legendaries, and that
now
people are saying that it's going to be too easy to collect everything.
Yeah, now let's focus on that. So when they released that, and I noticed again on several Destiny Facebook group pages that it's constantly being brought up, and people are constantly talking about it. And it's not something that, because usually they would bring up a point and it would have some level of discussion, and then it would kind of move on to the next bit. But I've noticed that this is a huge point for the community. Yeah, because
I completely understand why.
Because it takes away.
I spoke to you about it, and I said, this sucks. Like, my initial impression was that this is awful. Like, I was ready to go off and say how casual the game is becoming. That was my initial instinct. And then we had a conversation about it, and you said there's actually some pros to it.
Yeah.
And I sat down and said, I'm being a little ridiculous. Let me actually break this down critically.
Yeah.
Right? Like what we've done with anything with Destiny, because you love it so much, you have such a visceral reaction to every little bit of news. And it's like everything is life and death with the game, and that's how gaming has become, and media around the frenzy around gaming. But particularly for Destiny, it's like a beloved child for many of us. So we have these very strong opinions, but you have to sit back and think about it for a second and realize, hey, we don't have the full picture yet, so I cannot fully judge it. As of right now, I cannot fully judge if that's a good or bad change. I have to play Destiny 2 to determine that.
I think
but
that
my initial instinct was, it sounds as though it's going more casual, because it sounds easier now to obtain everything, right?
Yeah.
That's a very reasonable outcome to come to.
I think that's going to affect more the hardcore PvP base, because what made the game for them was grinding for that god roll, hand cannon, that that palindrome, that you name it, like the sort of gun that they needed to be really good in. But
a lot of PvP people did not like doing that. They said it was their bane of having to play the game, was having to grind PvE content, which they did not enjoy much, to get good rolls on PvP guns.
Yeah.
So I understand, to those people, that even to that community, it's kind of split. This is actually, like, for me, this is the most divisive decision that has been made yet.
Yeah.
Destiny 2. More so than 60 versus 30 frames per second. Sending everyone into
like some sort of seizure.
This is even more profound in terms of differentiating Destiny 1 from Destiny 2. And what were some of the pros that you had mentioned to me?
Now, for me, the pros are that it takes away a grind. It takes away that grind, because yes, there's a lot of grinding, but sometimes the grinding gets really, really repetitive.
Boring.
Yeah, and like, and you get put down a lot. Not put down. What's the word I'm trying to go for?
RNG on their side. I've never had as much of an issue as some people, but some people can do. What is the strike with the Omnigul strike until they're blue in the face, but they will never get that perfectly rolled grasp of Malak.
No. And I was one of those people.
When does that become unfair, right? When does that become unfair?
Yeah, I poured hours into that when it was when Undying Mind was the Nightfall strike to get an Eyes Luna that was similar to not Eyes Luna. What am I talking? Imago Loop that was similar to oh my god, I can't even think properly. The Fatebringer,
I don't think I ever got a great roll, ever.
So I'm here, I wasted hours grinding that fucking strike to get a Fatebringer roll on a Imago Loop, and the amount of hours I've wasted and poured into it is just ridiculous. But now, knowing that there were other people out there with the exact same gun as me, making it a level playing field as well, especially when you enter PvP areas where someone might have, you know, an Eyes Luna or a Palindrome with like ridiculous range on it and luck in the chamber and, you know, everything else like that, and then you just are kind of getting wrecked by these people over and over because these kids or people have a lot of free time to invest into grinding for a perfect roll, whereas some people don't have, you know,
anywhere near as much time.
No, they don't.
And I think it brings up a very interesting conversation about, was the grind in Destiny 1 creating unhealthy playing habits to the point that people were foregoing aspects of their personal life and career to play Destiny?
Yes, it did.
I believe I did.
I fell victim to that. I neglected. Yeah.
That I look back now and I'm like, that was literal addiction.
It is.
Talk about it. Like, people don't know. We don't talk about video game addiction, but I definitely think at one point I was too addicted to Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And there were days where I would spend 12 hours a day back at the beginning of content playing this game rather unhealthily just to get an item.
Well, let me tell you a little story called Prison of Elders. With our good friend over there, Skolas. I mean, I spent. I was close to having a stroke. I mean, because I can tell you now.
You rage.
It was about. I timed it. I looked at the time, and I was meant to meet people out for dinner that night, and then we just ended up keeping going. And then by the time I beat that arsehole, it was 4-5 in the morning, and I've just been at home, sitting there trying to beat this character in a video game so I can get my Age of Triumphs thing done. Which I don't even use that emblem anymore. I didn't even use it when Taken King came out. So I mean, we
talked about this. There was a point in Destiny where it kind of felt like work.
Yeah.
It felt like.
Yeah. I remember us. Yeah.
I'm spending X amount of time, and I feel like I'm spending 8 to 10 hours on a Tuesday playing a game, and then, you know, I don't get it done in time, and I'm spending 4 or 6. Yeah. It became too much.
Yeah.
So I think that there is some good in maybe hearing that you don't have to grind quite as hard. But this is all assuming that. These assumptions are being based on the fact that we know the quantity of weapons that are being introduced in Destiny 2 and the rarity of weapons, because what could alleviate some of the concern for the hardcore is that legendaries become rarer to find. So every time you do a strike, you might not be guaranteed a legendary weapon.
Yeah.
It's very possible that's how they're changing the system, so that when you do get that legendary gun you're after, you feel rewarded. It's not just handed to you.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you.
And I would actually prefer that system.
I would much prefer that system.
When I get the gun I want, it has the perks that I know make that gun a beast.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you on that. As well as
you need more weapons. Like, it needs to have more weapons. Like, you can't. For me, you need to increase the quantity if you're gonna have the same rolls on every weapon.
Yeah, I was really happy when, actually, you know what, talking about guns with consistent rolls on it, I don't know if you remember, but when we found out that Wrath of the Machine guns were all going to have the same perks, I was really happy with that. For me, that felt like, okay, this is kind of year one again, like these where we got guns. That was a disaster.
And that was largely in part because the perks were not set. And the weapons were trash regardless of what
the only weapons that was good in that game was Smart of Meringue, the pulse rifle, if you had it with the machine gun by far is probably the most used raid gun from King's Fall. The other guns are completely pointless. Like, I just feel like they were just used for infusion. Like, the whole it just feels to me like the purpose of that raid was
it does sound
infusion.
Like Destiny 2, one of their main design goals is to make the loot more worthwhile.
Yeah, so that's exactly.
So like I think the ideal system for Destiny 2 is that, like, genuinely, and then the other reason they're doing this is for balancing. So now when they balance that particular gun, it just affects it in that particular way, because there's not all these variations in perks. So it's so much easier for them to actually balance the game now. I mean, in every way, almost everything in Destiny 2 looks like they're facilitating ease of balancing, right? I mean, that's just like the 4v4 and PvP, and the fact that what do you think of the system with the new weapon system in general, with the power weapon and
Yeah,
the
that's.
kinetic and the energy?
I feel
Do
it's
you
going to
think it's
be.
a good change?
I think change is good in the sense I'm not usually one for I hate change, but I can honestly tell you that I think that it's going to be interesting. It's going to be
I
different.
genuinely have to play it first.
Yeah, I need to play it
That's
so
my
I can
biggest-
experience it.
That's my
Yeah.
biggest question mark going into Destiny 2 is me walking into that raid with this new setup, because now
Yeah.
I no longer have my scout, my sniper rifle, and my
Machine gun or my rocket. Yeah.
Now I'm gonna have my hand cannon, my scout rifle, and do I pick a sniper rifle or do I pick a what's the new weapon type in
Like that LMG.
grenade
Oh no,
launcher?
yeah, the
No, there's no more machine gun in this.
yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, they got rid of that, and I like machine guns. I really enjoy using
But
them.
now they have those like auto chain
Yeah.
guns, right?
Yeah, they do,
sort
yeah.
of have the feel of a machine gun. Yeah, it's probably my biggest question mark going into Destiny 2, more so than anything else. Is how does that feel in PvE? And a lot of people's concern that PvE has been nerfed for the sake of PvP and balancing.
Yeah,
That I don't know
that
yet.
pissed me off. That
So
that
I'm
really
looking
pissed me
forward
off
to the
so
beta
much
for that very reason.
because in like, do you remember when they had that nerf again a few months ago, and they took away health regen because they wanted to fix and then they just so happened to blanket nerf everything else in the game as well, and that really annoyed me because it ruined my quality of game, because I love playing Voidwalker, and then lifesteal wasn't there for like a whole month because they couldn't fix whatever it is they needed to fix, and they somehow did. It just really annoyed me, and I was really salty after that. And I mean, and I defended the game to death when there was that huge drought after taking King, when they gave us SRL Racing, but then after that they just went silent. Do you remember that? Like, they just
December through April was
Yeah.
probably for me the game's like weakest.
that was the
darkest-
weakest
darkest
point.
hour.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was.
Bungie was not. They were not being very transparent in the weekly updates and in their blog. They got very. I think what was really happening too was they were restructuring internally.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of when the CEO left, and they pushed back the release of Destiny 2, and they sort of invented off the cuff Rise of Iron. So
Yeah.
That's why you didn't hear them for a while, because they had a lot of drama behind the scenes. I don't know if you want to call it drama, but they went through a lot of change, and I think they've learned so much about organization for Destiny 2, and how many employees do we have? How many studios do we have to have on this
And
game?
what do we need? Yeah.
Like, what are our design goals, and what do we actually? Yeah, exactly. So I think that Destiny 2 will be a much better game simply because they are now way better equipped
and
to to create the content that people are starving for.
and they've had a whole
Shocked
year
if
to work
they-
on
if
it.
we see those same, I'd be shocked if we see the same level of droughts, and I'd be super disappointed. And I think that would not maybe bode so well for Destiny 3.
No.
People are still seeing the same content droughts. That's number one. That's the number one thing they have to work on in Destiny 2, is just keeping the content consistent. And I think the DLC model of Year 1, weirdly enough, which was oftentimes the most criticized by the casual community, is the best model for this game, and it's what they went back to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are concerned about Destiny 2 because it sounds like they're going back to a lot of what Destiny 1. It's like half of it they're going back to Destiny 1, and half of it they're making it more casual. So it's sort of like this weird sort of flip-floppiness, right?
Yeah.
And I think the problem is we don't have the whole picture yet. We don't know how these systems interact yet.
No, we don't.
So it's
And-
and I think all people are just constantly overreacting to all the news.
People, yeah, like, and especially like,
The content makers. That's how they
yeah,
make a living.
let's focus on them for a minute. So,
Pitchforking or hyping something. Like
yeah,
that sort of enthusiasm or
Yeah.
sort of witch hunting.
yeah.
Is what gets clicks. There's a very clickbaity.
That's
all YouTube content.
I
It's
make
Destiny. It's just,
it's everything. Like, I make content purely because I enjoy it, and I'm sure that's how a lot of these content creators maybe started out, or what they enjoy doing. But when you look at the way they go around about doing it, it's really sly, and it's just it's like watching the news on one channel and then switching to another channel, and then the exact same news. One of them might be, as you said before, jumping up and down on a chair, and maybe titling the video as in like I almost died, and then it's like, oh, I died. You know what I mean? Like it's really clickbaity, and I think that's just what it feels like it's become, and these games have to deliver up to that, and then they just end up disappointing because of all these people that's overhyping everything and just jumping up and down their chairs like Tom Cruise did at Oprah Winfrey, that kind of thing. That's just what it feels like.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's also a conversation about hype. It's sort of like, in many ways, E3 is my favorite time of year because I'm hyped for games.
Oh yeah.
And you let your imagination run wild, and you're like, your brain is creating the perfect game from every trailer or gameplay demo that you see.
Yep, I agree with you.
Sometimes the game never actually lives up to that. Because it's impossible to live up to that.
Yeah, no, I
experience.
I totally agree with you on that, definitely. But it's just that I think with Destiny 2 that they've had a whole year to polish it off, because it was meant to come out when Rise of Iron came out, as we all know, and I think that given this extra year they've had, and just seeing how other games have been performing over the last year, they can really take back from that and then really make a better product at the end of the day for us to enjoy.
Now, are you surprised by any of the omissions so far? Like, so they've had this extra year to work on the game, right? But then you hear Luke Smith say, we don't have ranked playlists yet. We're working on it.
It's
have it at launch.
It's very It's very concerning because when you think about because things like ranked playlists you have in a lot of other games, but for some reason
I'm sorry to curse, but ARMS for the Switch has ranked multiplayer. Like, why is this something that you had the extra year? Why didn't you work on a ranked playlist? Like, why people have been begging for since the beta of Destiny 1.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is where I genuinely can understand a YouTuber saying, hey, you know what, this is a little concerning.
It does piss me off. Like, I definitely it does piss me off when things like that happen, and especially
it's the omissions more so than the changes that are I'm more apt to get a little angry over. Like I understand why they got rid of Rumble, because they want to do everything 4v4, but
I enjoyed Rumble. I really.
Get rid of Rumble?
Yeah, like Rumble was
1v1 mode. Like
Rumble was the sort of game that I think they've really missed the plot with Destiny 2's multiplayer aspect, because Trials of Osiris as well is going to be 4v4.
Than me. What do you think of 4v4?
I
think it's.
It's gonna be toxic. It's not gonna be an enjoyable environment. That's just what I can think of right now. It's gonna be too
overly competitive.
It's gonna be overly competitive. It's gonna be really intimate, and you're gonna find really sweaty players in teams of 4, because it's much easier to put together a team of 4 than what it is going to be to put together a full team of 6, and you're just going to have these guys steamrolling. And they'll be steamrolling through playlists. They'll be steamrolling through other players, and because, as I said, it's much easier to have a get a group of 3 other guys together, and rather than a group of 6. But I mean, I guess it's pretty much means the same thing as 6v6, but that extra 2 just creates more of a balance. I mean, take Battlefield for example. In Battlefield 1, there's maps where there's 20 plus people on a side, and you can run for a couple of minutes and you wouldn't even see anybody else in that game, because the maps are so huge. Like, I don't know if you've played Battlefield 1, but it's the maps.
Yeah. I mean, there's like 64 players in some maps.
Yeah. And the maps are huge, and it doesn't get boring. And some of the matches go for about 40-45 minutes. But I'm so, enthralled by the whole experience.
I get why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want to tone down the chaos. Because everyone complains, Destiny. There's been a joke that you don't even have to shoot your gun anymore in the Crucible. But that's because you made the supers. You
made sticky grenades. You made sticky grenades.
You made grenades too powerful, and that's always been my biggest issue with Crucible from the beginning.
I had
You
a
have
sticky
too powerful
grenade
grenades.
go around a
And you
corner,
have
like,
builds built around grenades
yeah,
coming back every 15
yeah,
seconds. It's ridiculous.
it's
So you
great
have literally people getting 20 kills a match from
with a
just throwing
grenade,
grenades, sticky
with
grenades
sticky
at
grenades.
people.
I've had
And
a
that's
sticky,
just stupid.
yeah. Like, I've had one of these go around a corner and hit me. Like, I saw the animation go around a corner. I've hit other people with a sticky grenade that went
Destiny.
around a corner. Yes. And I feel like it's such an easy game. It feels like kindergarten to me, because you play games like Battlefield and any other games that's massive, has a massive PvP community, and you come back to Destiny and it just feels like I'm playing with kindergartens, because you throw sticky grenades at people to make them explode.
I am excited for the PvP change to Destiny 2.
Yeah.
While 4v4, the jury's still out. Like, for me personally, I can see the pros and cons, so I'm very ambivalent about the change as of right now to 4v4, but I understand people's concern.
Let's jump into some PvP, actually. Yep.
But for me, what I'm most excited for is hearing from that initial reveal, and the streamers got to play that sticky grenades no longer one-hit kill.
Yeah, that was
that everyone's
that was
huge.
huge.
The same, and that nothing can actually increase the regen of a grenade.
Yep.
And that melee has been toned down. So the fact that all the skills, the abilities have been toned down in favor for one-on-one primary fights is a huge plus for me. And I think I will like Destiny 2's PvP more because of that. I just hope it doesn't turn into like this ultra-competitive, boring sort of defensive, stay on your side, pick each other off the map.
I think it's going to be very defensive.
Scout rifles, essentially.
I hope
it doesn't become that.
I think it might be. I just have a feeling it will. And as I'm sure on launch it'll be one experience, and then 6 months down the track it would have had so many patches done to it. Yep, when the meta develops, and then it'll be in a entirely completely different playing experience for us.
Submachine guns. I'm excited to play them. I haven't heard too much about submachine guns yet.
Yep.
They seem. I haven't heard their viability really in PvP.
They haven't really touched on it that much for me. Yeah, they haven't.
I'm not sure if they're in the test builds yet.
No, because from what I was trying to see and trying to get my grasp on, there isn't really much news to kind of give me any solid idea of what I'm going to be expecting or what I'm going to get myself into with the submachine guns. So I'll have to wait and see for beta, because beta comes out in 2 weeks. Roughly just over 2 weeks now.
The July 18th.
Yeah.
So that's
just a little over 2 weeks.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm excited for the beta.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the beta.
And I'm very curious to see what this
Tuesday. That's what it is.
Yeah. I just really hope this servers hold up, because remember when Rise of Iron dropped for us, we were sitting in a queue for well over an hour because we kept getting that fucking limo.
They brought forward the launch of Destiny 2.
Yeah, but I don't know how that's going to help.
Alleviate the stress on the servers.
I don't think that's
because it unlocks at midnight and everyone's time.
My question is, why bring it forward when you know the servers are going to be overrun? Why don't you fix your fucking servers?
You get to play before me. You get to play before me.
Do I? Oh yeah, because true, yeah. But because I have an Australian account on my so
you get to play really before me.
I get to play it really before, but I'm in Norway, so I get to play it like extra before.
Wow.
But
you get 12 hours on me.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Finally. Well, you had Mass Effect like 2-3 days before the rest of the world got
really?
it. Like almost a week.
I don't think that counts. I don't think that.
No. But the thing is, now, why bring the game launch 2 days forward when we know that on launch there's going to be an issue with servers? Why not fix your fucking servers so you don't have to bring the game forward 2 days to make sure your servers are not going to crash? Because they're going to be crashing for those first 2 days anyway, if that's going to be the case. Like, why not prevent...
I mean, this game is already, like, what, the most pre-ordered game of all time via Activision? Which is, it's beaten any Call of Duty, so...
Really? I did. That's news to me. I had no idea. Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's lots of people that they hate on Destiny in public, but they bought it and they'll buy Destiny.
Yeah, they're Destiny closet cases.
Yeah, they really are. And yeah, I wasn't thinking about the server issues, but you're right. There probably will be server issues.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I mean, I'm happy to play it 2 days earlier, don't get me wrong, but it's just, it's just frustrating knowing that there might be issues with the server, and then they say, okay, well, we're gonna have to bring it forward by, you know, 2 days to make sure that there's not gonna be any server crash. So yeah, but anyway, we'll see. We'll have to see. Get out of
what
here.
Else what are you looking forward to in regard to the changes to the classes that we've
Now,
seen so far?
I'm really curious about the classes because the thing is, again, we need more information as to what's exactly happening with the Traveler and all that stuff. But I mean, with the
But no, I mean like the clusters. Like some people are saying that there's a lack of customization because you can only select the 2 skill sets. Whereas you could spec your character a little bit more individually in Destiny 1, but let's be honest, we all kind of spec similarly outside of maybe a Nightfall, you know, for Voidwalker, for instance.
Yeah.
Like this sort of these sets would get my grenades up or blah 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 or the light, whatever it was. Very rarely would I change my spec of my character.
especially
So
with
for me, it's not a humongous deal.
no.
It's riding that wave of these.
Are they
things
catering to
that
casual
we're
people? Yeah, like
pulling- we're pulling out some of the RPG elements. We're streamlining it so that, you know, so that Dum Dum over there doesn't get confused and feels like he can be just as good at PvP or just as good at a raid. And I understand that too. I mean, I get where you're trying to make your game as accessible
yeah.
as possible.
But then they ruin it for the hardcore players, and they're ruining it for the hardcore players. They're ruining it for us who
Well, let me
really
just say this: if Destiny really hung on by the skin of its teeth because the hardcore community got behind it, they said, "No, you're wrong, reviewers. You're wrong, world. This is actually an amazing game. Look at the raid. Look at the content we're going to put up on YouTube showing how amazing the raid is." And then people are like, "Oh, okay, maybe I didn't really experience what Destiny had to offer. Maybe this end game is really cool. Oh, there's no story. There's actually these Grimoire cards, and we're gonna have these lore content providers like Bife, who go into detail and explain. Wait, Destiny actually has a really good story, but it's just not there ostensibly. You have to dig deep." And so the hardcore kids really allow Destiny to thrive. And so for my biggest concern for Destiny 2 is if we're not catering to that audience, are they going to start turning on the game and maybe no longer be there for the game in the same sense? Is it going to bore them in some way? Like, what do you make of the Grimoire situation?
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you, because I'm a huge fan of the Grimoire. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Grimoire.
I think they're really good writing, but I don't think it should be the way it tells the story.
No.
But I also don't understand why you necessarily had to remove them completely from the game.
Yeah, no, it's
And as someone who's a screenwriter, and my job is to sell stories, to sell and tell stories.
Yeah.
I hope that their intention is to put the lore in the story, but as a storyteller, I get very nervous because I don't really know how you tell deep lore in a cutscene or an interaction with an NPC. I don't really get that. Because those vignettes, sometimes those writing samples are very well done. And just not having those little vignettes is kind of sad to me because they are well written. And I like the idea of diving in and talking about the story that you read on a card, or that you read. It doesn't have to be a Grimoire card. It can be you press R2 and the lore card comes up on the screen. That's what I thought Destiny 2 would introduce, was the lore in-game, with the Grimoire cards in the game, or like the lore, you know, like a lot of other games. But it sounds like that's not even in the game. Am I wrong?
Well,
Do we not know yet?
That's my impression as well, if I'm honest with you, because I was actually thinking about that, and having played Diablo again now, Diablo does a really good way of telling the story in-game. For example, you would be in-game and you'll find a book laying over there. You pick up the game and you hear it's an actual well, how would you say it? Like it's a story that's being told.
Okay.
So yeah,
So
and then
dialogue. You actually
yeah,
hear it. There's audio.
there's a dialogue card. Yeah. So
Reads it. Oh,
so
okay.
as you keep playing, you can hear the dialogue happening. So you get more of, okay, what's happening? Why is this? Why is the Black King so crazy? You know, like blah blah blah. So yeah, I think that's what he's called, the Black King. But yeah, so you hear a lot of what makes. I just melee the shit out of this guy with his golden gun. So like you hear so everything kind of makes sense. So you hear the story as you're playing, and as you're going, you hear, okay, why is this happening? What's happening here? Like, and what did he do before this? So it's really good in that sense. And I think
the other big controversial that there was a comment about not only that the darkness was not going to be mentioned at all.
Yeah, what the fuck is like? You're just gonna forget about the history that the game had?
That to me is very. I think it. Okay, I listened to the Kotaku interview where I think that was expressed. I believe it was Kotaku during E3.
Yeah.
Luke Smith was talking to Jason Scheer. I believe that's from that interview. And the way he was describing it was basically like, we're focusing on the light in Destiny 2, and we're the genesis of the light, and what exactly is the Traveler, and what is the light, and how were you, I assume how you were reborn as a Guardian.
Yeah.
The power. But to go as far as to say is that you're removing mention of the darkness is...
That is just weird. Like, that is like...
You're removing your, like, antagonistic force in the game. So, but, like, for me, it's like, how do you have light without darkness? I don't know if it was just poorly worded, or if it's a literal, like, no, we're not mentioning the darkness. But it makes it seem like a side story as a result, right? The Cabal already have this sort of weird place in the game where you're like, oh, I really want to know more about the Cabal, but we definitely know they're not the main villain. Like, we know that they're not the main threat, and you could very well see us teaming up with the Cabal eventually, or just taking out the Cabal and moving on to the real threat. But for me, the Cabal have never been as threatening as the sort of nebulous darkness and like the Hive gods.
Because I found that
all that. So it sounds like a side story if we're not going to get into the darkness, does it not?
Yeah, it does. It sounds. I don't really know what to make of it. I'm a little bit disappointed, and I don't understand why this is happening. Like, why they're just completely ignoring the fact that there was laggy. What's happening? Why they? Yeah. So why are they denying that there was no darkness? I mean,
they're not denying it, but they literally said in an interview, also between you and me, there was a time at Bungie where we did not fully understand exactly what the darkness was. And as someone who tells stories, I totally get that. I get that, like, you create something very nebulous, and you say, okay, that there's some sort of supernatural reason for why this person exists. Like on Twin Peaks, like the main evil entity of Bob. Like, I'm sure David Lynch had some idea of where that entity came from.
Yeah.
Like, he's a dark force from the ether. But he may not have written down on paper exactly what that was. Or maybe the people that created Destiny 1 story, they wrote it down. But because of the schisms that occurred, that person was like, fuck off. Like, they left Bungie and they never really told them exactly what this was. So you have a team of people that are like, we never really created this, so we don't know what it is, and we don't, like, there's this sort of feeling when you're working with the story. It's like, do I have the right to create this because I didn't create the initial idea?
Yeah.
So I get that.
Because I mean,
he also said that that was only at one point in Bungie's history, probably Destiny 1 Year 1. They probably didn't know fully what the darkness was, and then Taken King, Luke Smith, who's now creative director, moving on up in Bungie, he says, okay, this is what the darkness is, and he writes it down. But it's almost like, I'm sure Luke Smith felt like, do I have the right to invent this? Because it wasn't my initial invention.
It wasn't mine. Yeah.
It's hard to explain. But
I know what you mean.
I think that's what he was getting. That's what he was getting at, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's been taken out of proportion that Bungie has no idea what the darkness is.
Didn't we just do this?
But they do. They know what it is. But I just think he probably should not have mentioned it. Because that's something, like, as a story creator, you just don't say out loud.
You don't.
Like,
no, I wouldn't admit that.
It's like George R.R. Martin saying, I really don't know how Game of Thrones ends.
Yeah, I'm not so sure exactly.
I have a vague notion.
I kind of have an idea.
Of the show, like I gave him some like ideas for what could happen, and you know, like imagine if you found out later that he just gave them very general ideas and was like, you could kill Daenerys or you could kill Jon. I don't really care.
Yeah, just do
Because
whatever you want to do it.
I
Yeah.
never really figured it out.
Well, but look at
And
the
it
game.
makes the story feel false, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes the story feel false.
And I mean, look at the game before it was even released. There's cutscenes with I think it's a warlock that's standing with what's Petra's brother? What's his name again? The dude with the crows, yeah, and he's with the Prince of Crows, yeah. And there's a cutscene where you can see him, you know, walking up behind a guardian, and he's kind of standing above him, and that was never even in the game. So obviously,
well, we all know the story of Destiny 1.
It's completely different from.
They showed a supercut before. There was another. The story director, he quit after they showed off a supercut of the game to the investors at Activision, and whether they hated it or they found it was too confusing or something, they were like, no, we're not setting this out. And then they had like basically 9 months to redo the whole game story and piece together the gameplay levels that they already. So like obviously like that's a mess, that situation.
Yeah.
And how do you salvage anything from that is like a miracle, and they did. But,
they managed to, yeah.
In retrospect, should that management at Activision went so hardcore on the game? Probably not. Was it probably a better game with that story?
Exactly. Like, what would have caused them to change the game so dramatically to completely rewrite?
Well, apparently, if memory serves correct, it was very linear, like Halo, and it didn't really have the map.
Okay.
That was one of the big concerns, so they wanted it more open world, you know? Because, again, when you're as a screenwriter, when you're working with producers, a lot of people like to throw around buzzwords, like open world. And they're like,
open world!
Or you could just change your main character, or you could just you could do anything, right? And you're like, no, I spent months creating this vision, and for me to change one element, I'd have to go back to the foundation and change it. And you're like, okay, we'll do it in 1 month. And you're like, fuck this, and you're almost inclined to come back with a shitty product, or it's not even a shitty product. It's like you can only do so much with the time you're given, and that's what happened with Destiny 1. But they wanted to make it more open world, so they had to they had to sort of cut and paste the story from the linear experience into, you know, the different planets. And they apparently Osiris was in the original vision of the game. Osiris.
And now apparently there's going to be a DLC focusing on Osiris. I don't know how that's going to work, but
I'm excited for that because I think what we saw with what's her name, the Iron Banner representative,
Aphrodite.
Aphrodite, yeah.
Well, she barely even made an impact. Everyone was like, "Oh, Aphrodite's," and then there was like no story, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna get to meet Aphrodite for the first time," and all she did was an NPC standing in the tower with a mask on, like a helmet, and I was like,
Iron was really like, they didn't have time for Rise of Iron. Like, let's be honest, right? Like that team, they were also probably working on Destiny 2 on the side, so like they had no time. But and Aphrodite clearly is there to introduce us to Osiris because she sort of insinuates that.
So do you think she's going to be in the expansion?
Yeah, I think she's going to be the link to Osiris. You'll see.
Okay, well what about poor brother Vance?
For sure.
He's just going to be written out.
I don't know. I don't really give a shit about brother Vance.
Yeah, I don't think.
Personality.
No, he's absolutely.
He died in the explosion.
Yeah, he died. That doesn't.
I don't know how many people would be that concerned.
I wonder. Whoa! I just got completely fucked up. But what do you think's gonna be the what do you think's gonna be the outcome of the tower? Because they don't really hint much at it, other than it's gonna be destroyed, and obviously our loot's gonna go with it, which also doesn't make any sense to me because this shit backs up in the reef. Yeah. Well,
yeah, I hope that there's some sort of story explanation for, like, I bet the reef gets taken over by the Cabal.
Yeah, now just touching on that.
A really easy story explanation for why we can't just get our stuff from the reef.
Now, just touching on that again real quickly. Okay, so here we are, we're Guardians, we're wherever the fuck we are on the planet or universe, and the Cabal takes over the tower. For example, we're busy doing this strike right now, and the Cabal arrives and is taking over the tower. So obviously we are not in the fucking tower. So obviously we have our gear and we have our weapons on us. So what, do you just get, you're naked? Like your shit just disappears and you're naked all of a sudden? Like, oh fuck, I'm meant to be killing this Vex dude, and all of a sudden I'm you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it just the story doesn't make sense, like, as to why.
I think you have to suspend your disbelief with that. I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying. I'm sure, like, if you had to really dig in, you could come up with an explanation as to, like, how losing your power affects your ability to equip a gun. I mean, that's very, like, that could be their official response, right? Like, you can't use these weapons without having the Traveler's Gift, or, like, maybe you're too weak, right? Without the Traveler's Gift.
Yeah.
of
And then
life.
they have to.
Maybe on the collapse of death, because you're technically a reanimated corpse, right?
Yeah,
I
technically.
hope Destiny 2 explains
Like how the fuck that
the
works, because
the
yeah.
resurrection factor of this game, because you kind of playing it, you kind of forget you're like you're resurrected.
You're a
I'm
dead
not
person,
really
you're a ghost.
zombie,
Yeah.
but you're a dead
Well, you
person.
technically
you are a dead person in many ways.
Look at him laying here. But yeah, because technically yes, you are a zombie because you don't speak. Your character has absolutely no voice or no fucking personality.
Well,
It's like
you do sometimes the game chooses to give you voice dialogue, right? Like
yeah, like once.
it'll give you a line here and there in every story DLC.
Yeah.
That becomes more consistent. I'm very excited for Destiny 2's story. It'll be better. Like, there's just no way in hell it'll be worse. Like,
It can't be
it's
worse.
Possible.
No,
It cannot. There's no way it could be worse, because if you go back and play vanilla, you're like, wow, there really is all this stuff in your head is from the grimoire. It's from your friends talking about the game. It's from the raids.
Yeah.
It's sort of like this. You create the story in your head, but if you go back and play vanilla, I recently did on Xbox. It's just very paltry. It's not terrible. It just doesn't really tell. It doesn't really tell much of a story at all. Oh, that was the other thing that Luke Smith said. Either whether it was joking or not, but he said that the stranger's story was pretty much wrapped up.
I was really angry. I was really angry about that.
Because I mean, and okay, the problem is if he's not joking, then it kind of makes it's like you're the creator of the story and the lead. It makes you seem a little incompetent to be leading the story.
It makes you
Like,
seem.
if you honestly feel like that was wrapped up well, because
It's
you get
like
weapons,
like
but,
having
like,
a
what
school
people are concerned
project.
about is, like,
Yeah.
she was talking to someone. She was.
Yeah.
Talking
Who the
to
fuck was she
someone,
talking
right?
to?
Most of the
Like,
campaign.
was she?
So like the fact that you don't think that that was considered a
Oh, watch out! Up top
central
right. Top
mystery
right.
of the game. Oh. The fact that you don't consider that a central mystery of Destiny 1 is really concerning to me. So I hope it was joking and I was taken out of context, but I really don't know. I think Bungie should stop letting him speak, because he gets himself into trouble.
I know, exactly.
He's a smart man, and I think his humor is sometimes very sarcastic.
Yeah, and people will take it the wrong way.
His delivery, so you don't know if what he's saying is straight up, or if he's being sarcastic. I really think that they should never let him speak to the public.
Just be quiet. Deej is really good. He's really good at.
Perfect at talking.
He's good at answering a question without answering a question.
Yeah, without ever answering a question.
He'll answer your question for you, but he won't answer it.
No answer is better, because some of the answers we've gotten all summer, they've been rather forthcoming with details this summer.
Yeah.
A lot of those details have made people upset. Like, how much good Destiny 2 news have we received this summer?
Let me think.
I really can't say that many things that were like, oh, that's unequivocally amazing.
Okay.
But then for every lost sector, there's a conversation of, oh, are they replayable? Oh, shit,
no.
not. Well,
So what is your take on that? What is your take on these lost sectors? So what, you play them, you get something out of it, and then you can't do it again?
I need to play it. It just, to me, it sounds like a side mission.
It sounds like a side mission, and you get something out of it, and then that's it. You had your chance, you missed it, and it's done. Now, are these going to be timed?
The biggest hope when they introduced Destiny 2, I hope that there was 3 buzzwords they put up on a screen, and the one word I was looking for was the word dynamic, and they did not put it up on the screen. And that is that's my biggest fear, is that they don't understand what the biggest problem with Destiny 1 was that we wanted a more dynamic experience in every way.
Yeah.
And everything is replayable. But it can't just be, oh, you put up the difficulty to 390 version of the same content. That's not what I mean by dynamic.
No.
I want the open world to feel
Open.
I want an event to take place on a random Wednesday, right? And everyone's like, get on Destiny right now.
Yeah, get on this right now. There's something going on. Like, you need to do this. You have like, you have a couple of hours. Like, you have the next 4 or 5 hours to do that, and then it's done. I mean, even this kids game that I've covered on my channels before, like called Portal Knights, does that. And they do it right. Like,
events,
yeah, they have this random event that like.
They did talk about flashpoints. You heard about flashpoints?
No.
Nightfall-like levels. They're called flashpoints.
Yeah.
So it's like a patrol mission. It's like either a dungeon or a world boss that a group of people get together, and they can get a Nightfall reward. I think it's like a once-a-week affair. So
Okay.
it's like a patrol mission with a big boss at the end that I think a bunch of guardians.
Kind of how the Black Spindle boss thing was. Yeah, that's good. I like that because remember when
I think maybe imagine like 5 guys or 9 guys, because you can have what, up to 9 people in a patrol zone. So
yeah.
Imagine that. That to me is the right line of thinking for Destiny 2. That's the sort of dynamic experience that I want. But I want it to go even further than that. And
now, do we know yet?
We've only gotten that one little bit.
Do we know yet what the party limit's going to be? Because now being 3, do you think they'll increase that, especially for patrols? Because looking at how badly,
I'm pretty sure it's the same. 3
because
people patrol, but there can be up to 9 people in a space. Maybe it's increased. I know they increased the social space from.
Wasn't it 20 or something?
Right now?
I think it's around 20. I think.
19 right
19, 20, around there. Yeah.
I think they increased it by like 10. Like it's increased by a third.
Yeah, because when you think about it, right? Like you think of things like Archon's Forge, and what's the other one on the Dreadnought?
Archon's
Court of Oryx
is underrated.
It
Archon's
is.
Forge is good.
It's good, but the thing
actually,
is,
while replaying the campaign on Xbox, Archon's Forge was one of my favorite endgame activities to do, because there was a dynamic element to it changing with different people in the group,
yeah,
and the different supers that were being used and the different events that were being spawned.
Yeah.
It was a much more dynamic experience, and that's the sort of thing I'm looking for in Destiny 2.
And
I want Archon's Forge times 10. You know, I don't want.
But the thing is, where it failed was it was in such an area where you literally had to go crawling into, you know, like you had to go climb it, you had to go through like walkways, and it should be in the open. It should be an area that like the menu, the HUD, like you can choose it, not the HUD, like what I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, like you should go. Okay, now I want to go play Archon's Forge. I'm gonna pop down. I'm gonna jump down there, and I know there's gonna be people there because I've sat there for ages. Like I even put up an episode of Family Guy or American Dad while I was waiting for people to come, and I finished that episode and nobody else was there. I mean, that is ridiculous. Like
I used to like walk in slowly, walk in slowly, walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that Destiny, like the quality of life things, like the accessibility, that needs to be improved, because that's just annoying. Like, not even the most hardcore players enjoy that. Like,
no, they don't. And I mean, I was speaking to some other guys a while back, and they're not hardcore players. That they played because they enjoyed, but these things annoyed them as well. And they're very casual players. You know, they just pick up the game and have a bit of fun with it. But
that's a turn off. Like, they'll turn the game off. Like a casual player will turn the game off because of that.
Yeah.
This is stupid. Like, I'm not waiting around.
Yeah.
For this.
No, I definitely agree with you. No, it's I feel like they need to add more people in patrol zones, because 3 is great, but it would just be so much more. I don't understand why you can't have 6 people with you, at least maybe 4. Now with the increased PvP.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what we were all expecting, was
because it's a game.
Patrols, zones. We were because we heard for so long that the fact that it was on PS3 and Xbox 360 last gen consoles was holding the game back.
Yeah. Now right? Show me why it was holding you back. Now give me content that's gonna show me why, like what was holding you back.
You want to just create the Death Zamboni? Like, don't tell me this Death Zamboni is the only reason why you guys said stuff was being held back. Like, come on. Like,
yeah, that was
like stutters on that PS4 Pro. Like, come on, everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. Yeah.
This is the main reason why people are a little concerned. It's because we're not hearing the changes we kind of were all expecting.
No.
Ranked playlists, bigger patrols, more.
Well, apparently one of the worlds is going to be like bigger than. But you know what? I've heard all that before.
Yeah, twice as big, which is not that big.
I mean, we've heard it all. It's not that big, but we've heard it all before. So, like, I mean, I know we probably sound like haters on the game, but we're saying this because we love the game and we really enjoy the game. And this is
to be as good as it can be.
yeah, we want it to
Let's
be.
be honest. We will play this game to death.
Yeah, we will.
We want Destiny to be this. We want Destiny to be this dynamic version of itself that does cater to new people while maintaining that hardcore sort of pull. And I think you can do it. I think it's really hard to achieve, and I think they're trying as hard as they can. I do think what has held Bungie back and continues to hold Bungie back is the fact that until a year and a half ago, they were switching up leadership. And I think Luke Smith said, and I respect him a lot for saying this, we didn't have great leadership for a long time.
Yeah.
And something that we've been recovering from for a long time is that lack of leadership. And now we have it. Now we have a stable sort of regime in place, right?
Yeah.
But that sort of thing takes time to
recover from.
To recover from, and
yeah.
to create amazing content after the fact. So I don't know if a year and a half was long enough.
No, but we'll have to see, because it makes sense that
people gonna stick around for Destiny. I mean, look, they will. People will stick around for Destiny 3. It's just, are people gonna find it as addicting as Destiny 1 is the biggest question.
I think I'm looking forward to the changes. I'm looking forward to see what they're going to be what's going to be happening, and what we're going to be getting. And I mean, we're going to get a taste of that now in just over a couple of weeks, and time has gone by so quick. And I can't wait to see what changes is going to be coming. Like, I'm really excited for it, and I'm nervous as well. Like, I'm really nervous.
Like the surprise, they said that there were some surprises in the beta, so it's not just the homecoming mission, the inverted spire strike, and some PvP. There's also, they hinted at some surprises.
Now, do you think
IGN this week is doing IGN, they're doing a Destiny 2 like coverage for the month of July. It's their IGN Game of the Month. And on Wednesday, July 5th, they're actually going to show us the farm, the social space.
Oh, really? Yeah, with the little soccer field on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're showing it off for the first time. So
now,
IGN has some
exclusive, yeah.
Content.
But now, touching on that as well, real quick, like I feel that they release too much. Like, for example, like, here's all the exotics you can get, and I was like, why are you?
Well, they promised they're not going to do that. They said that they're never going to show the exotics ever again on Instagram.
That was, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, where is the element of surprise? Like, oh my god, what gun is this? I've never heard of this gun before. What does it do? Look what I got just now, guys. Like, oh wait, I saw that on Instagram. Like, it's some sort of fucking, like, it's stupid.
Well, I think it's why they're not doing the same sort of beta as they did in Destiny 1, where they exposed all Patrol and they showed off so many missions, and they even showed off the moon, and they showed off way too much. They did. But, they had to get people invested in this new IP of Destiny, and now, they don't need to do that anymore. They have so many fans.
Yeah, because they know...
Destiny is.
Yep.
I think the surprise might be something like, maybe they're going to do like a Nightfall version of the Inverted Spire, so that they can show off guided games. The big system in place is guided games.
Now, what is
the big question mark for me as well?
I think that's going to be a fail.
Especially with the news that it's only for normal mode content. It's not for anything that's hard.
Yeah.
Legendary, whatever the difficulty is being called in Destiny 2.
But didn't they make it out that it was going to be at the? Didn't they make it out like it was going to be something for raids, or was that just kind of my assumption from it? Because
I think it's for any high-end content, whether it be raiding. From my knowledge of it, it was for raiding, Nightfall, or even something like Trials. Anything that required matchmaking, you could. For me, it sounded like a Sherpa system.
Yep.
But I think the media and everyone sort of rewrote it as a matchmaking system. That was a Sherpa system in sensibility, but it still doesn't really sound like a matchmaking system per se. For me, it's a big. It seems to be positively received in the media, and again, a big question mark by the fandom. Like, we're not sure. And if it's only for normal mode, I don't really get the hype, because normal mode content becomes really useless after about a month.
It does.
Majority of the content is the hard mode, anything. So
Yeah. So that's
square
where.
one of having to seek out LFG sites to get into a hardcore raid.
No, I agree
But
with you.
people are speculating, I don't know if this is based on the information, that the raids are going to be different in Destiny 2. That one of their design philosophies, having heard many people say that the favorite part of Destiny was, oh, of course, the raids, Vault of Glass for the very first time, Wrath of the Machine.
Yeah.
And the fact that half of the player base never experienced one, there is some evidence to suggest that the initial normal mode raid is going to be a lot easier than it's ever been before.
But
So
why? Like,
casuals-
it's end game
I don't
content.
say casuals. Well, so what they're going to do is make the normal mode really easy, not really easy, but easier than we've seen before.
Yeah.
And then the hard mode will be way more challenging. So it'll be like a huge step up. Whereas we've seen before that the hard mode, remember Wrath of the Machine we did, normal mode we struggled with initially, but Wrath of the Machine we beat the hard mode in 2 hours the minute it dropped.
What, like in one go? Yeah.
We were experienced, like we know what we're doing in Destiny.
Yeah.
But it was a little too easy, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. It was because I mean we played with a group that we play with, so we knew exactly what each other's strengths and weaknesses were when we went in there. So it was like it wasn't like we went in completely blind, but so it was easy. I have to say, like when we beat Axis, I was like, whoa, okay, that was it. Like we just did it. So yeah. No, I agree with you.
It's so hard to talk about stuff that we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We can just speculate like that.
I would say that based off of what they said, it does seem like a way to remedy the situation of if one of their design philosophies is let's get everyone to raid, then yes, it makes more sense to make the normal version of a raid a little bit easier, or a little maybe easy is the wrong word, more accessible.
But the thing that really
that means lowering the difficulty of mechanics. Maybe it's less mechanics.
It's about the mechanics that we enjoy. Like we enjoy those things. I enjoy the mechanics. I enjoy figuring it out. I enjoy, getting that mastering whatever it is that I need to be doing to get that, to beat that boss. I don't want to walk in there and just sit there and shoot at him. Like I want this to be a lot more challenging than that.
Or maybe it will be easier to Sherpa people through it. Maybe that's another way they could do it, right? So you have two people that know the raid really well, and then you have 4 kids that are not that great, but those 2 people can sort of not carry, but they can do the mechanical stuff that requires maybe a bit more knowledge, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
My major criticism of something like Kingsfall would be that it's too mechanics heavy.
It was really mechanics heavy. Yeah.
One person can wipe through the one. I really don't love that raid now, in retrospect, after repeating it, because there were just so many times where one person would just wipe the whole team, and
yeah,
I could definitely see them, at least in the normal version, staying away from that.
Yeah, if that's going to be the case, that normal mode is going to be, you could Sherpa them through normal mode in the raid.
It's almost going to be like the ending of the story might be the raid. It sounds crazy, right? That we consider the raid so high in content, but really the end game content for the raid is the hard mode. It really isn't even the normal mode. So it's actually kind of okay if the normal mode is like maybe a little bit less stiff, and it actually does tell the end of the story. I would not be opposed. I really wouldn't.
No, I me neither. But I just really hope
the hard mode is not being, also
too casual.
That'd be a shame.
I'm sure that they won't be doing this. I can just say that I hope, out of hopes, that they won't be doing this. But it would be a very irresponsible thing for them to do if they were to just cater to an extremely casual crowd, knowing that there are hardcore players out there, knowing that there's YouTubers out there who are extremely
For me, I will say this: it's a slap in the face. If Destiny 2 does become the casual fest that, in many ways, it is sounding, and I'm trying to be as hopeful because I love the game so much, and I'm trying not to let the negativity. And there's a lot of people
trying not to get that salt.
Are thinking it's getting really, really, really casual.
Yeah.
And I can see it. I can see it with my own eyes, and I'm not trying to deny it. I'm just saying we don't have the full picture yet, so we cannot definitely say anything as one way or the other. But I will say this: if Destiny 2 is a casual fest, I will still play it. I'll still like the game,
Yeah.
but I might not fall in love with it like I did with
No.
Destiny 1.
And like many of us did out there, and
That's okay,
a lot
I
of
guess.
us did fall in love with the game, and it meant you know, it
But I'll
was
just say this: the casuals are not going to be the ones that are sitting there 2 years from now playing the game.
no, they're not.
And if you abandon your hardcore audience, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah,
You have
no,
to
exactly.
correct to Bungie. It's like they don't give a shit. Well, no, they do. Of course, they give a shit. They don't want people to turn on their game. But please, do not forget the casual, the hardcore player base that allowed this game to exist for 3 years. Because without the people that, again, like the YouTube content creators like Fife, who said, no, we have a great story here. It's just hidden, and when they exposed it, without those people, this game wouldn't be as popular or it wouldn't have as much longevity as it did.
No, it wouldn't.
I'm a little nervous about that.
I just, I don't know, like, we just have to wait for a couple of weeks' time, and then we can touch on it again, and really, and then see what our thoughts are on how the new sub...
the beta. We should do this again during the beta.
Yeah, I agree, and then we can compare to, like, what our thoughts were beforehand, and then now having played the beta together, and then kind of see, okay, so this is...
might not be this incredible, like, litmus test, though. You
know,
that's the other thing. It might just be this very... Because there's no loot system, as far as I know. There's no loot system in the beta. It's just the weapons that they give you, and there's no drops. And unless that's being held back for a surprise, that there are some sort of drops. Maybe after you do something like beat the strike, you get an exotic drop just to test it out or something. I don't know.
I think,
as far as I know, there's no loot system or patrol or anything like that. Social space, none of that is supposed to be in there. So
maybe
it's gonna be hard to.
I think it's gonna be something like in Destiny 1, where you have to do a story mission, and then by doing that you get some emblem that you'll get in game, like how it was.
That's the surprise, you think?
Yeah, I think that's
it might be something as small.
That's gonna be the surprise that says if you log on between this time and this time and you complete a mission. Remember, like if you complete a mission between this time and this time, you'll get this shitty emblem that you'll never use. Because they've done that to us a couple of times. Even like, yeah, exactly, during the Taken King drought, they said, if you log on to Destiny between so-and-so and so-and-so, you'll be getting this emblem. And then when I saw the emblem, I was like, it's fucking hideous. Like, who the hell... who wants that emblem?
I know.
Give me stuff to do.
Speaking of that, are you getting it on PC?
I'm going to be playing the beta on PC.
You're getting it on PC, PS4.
I'm getting it on PS4. But
You're getting Destiny 2 on PS4 for sure, right?
Yeah, I'm not playing Destiny 2 on PC. I'm going to be playing the open beta on PC, just to see what it's like. Yeah, but I can tell you now, I will not be playing the game on PC because I'm a console gamer, and when I have, like, if you've seen some of my other videos where I play games where you should be using a keyboard and a mouse, I plug my PS controller in, because like
definitely at a disadvantage with a controller on a PC platform, especially for competitive play.
Yeah, I can't do keyboard, and also the fact that they said there's not going to be any recoil on the guns on PC, so I don't know.
Oh really?
Yeah, it kind of makes sense in a way, but not really. But it just sounds weird. It just sounds...
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just... I don't know what to make of that. So that's why I'm looking forward to playing this on my PC, because my PC will run it really well, and I've got a really good monitor for it, so I'm really looking forward to...
That's another big concern for people, is that it will start to splinter the community, especially with their content creators maybe moving towards PC. I will say this. If content creators do start to abandon ship on PS4 and move toward the PC, people might just turn. I mean, I don't know. The fandom might just turn on them. It might not splinter the community as much as people think. People just might not follow them anymore, because it's like, I'm not.
I don't
PC,
think.
So why do I want to follow you on your PC?
Yeah, like
sort of binge. It's like.
Yeah, I don't play on PC. Why would I want to follow you while you're playing this game on PC? Because this is a console game. Like, and a lot of people don't have the money to fork out to buy a gaming PC.
You need like a $2,000 or $3,000 setup to play it at max settings.
At least, yeah, at least.
To get it to make it look like what everyone's saying, like, oh my god, it's so phenomenal, and it looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look $3,000 beautiful.
No,
and it's. Have the setup. I think that it would just be kind of crazy to spend that money on a PC. And again, a lot of people they're not familiar with the mouse and keyboard, and it's gonna feel like a different game.
I think
For me, there's a lot of hype around it, and I don't know how warranted it is, and we don't even know if the PC community will be there for the PvP.
And I don't think so.
Turn on it immediately because there's no dedicated servers, and that's a
no, and that's going to be a huge
negative on PC.
Yeah, I think with
They're gonna say, what is this, a joke?
the PC community, the PC community will be the ones that plays competitive multiplayer that will be playing on that. And you're not going to have any hardcore PvE players, because I'm not going to turn on my PC and grind PvE content with a keyboard and mouse. Yeah. Like there's no longevity in that. There's absolutely it just doesn't exist on PC. The games that are successful on PC are games that it's like online multiplayer games where you're competitive and you.
Well, you do have games like Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft that do have a PvE element, but
but that's completely different. That's like comparing, I don't know, like two completely different things against each other. But because they're entirely different, well, World of Warcraft perhaps is maybe a little bit more similar. But I feel that the game's not going to be as successful on PC as what it has been on console. That's just my 2 cents.
I think that it's being really hyped, but I don't think it's going to be this huge success story that people are making out of.
No,
I hope it does well. Well, I'm kind of torn, because if it does really well, I do not want the community to fracture. Because that really is what makes Destiny Destiny, is a very strong, tight-knit community, especially on PS4. Because, yeah, it does have the content exclusivity, and people did gravitate, and it's also the #1 selling console in the world. So PS4 is where you play Destiny for many people. And I hope it does not affect the community aspect on the PS4. I think that would be a shame.
And what is your thoughts on the whole content exclusive things, like how they screwed over Xbox and giving them all the other exclusives in October, like for the old stuff?
I mean,
like, shit.
For me, it's not Bungie, it's Activision. So
yeah,
if you want to come with your pitchforks, go talk to Activision's.
I can't
Bungie,
get over.
It's not their problem.
I can't get over how. Like, for me, it's hilarious because there's these people I see on like the Facebook groups for Destiny who completely are losing their shit because Bungie's giving them the year 2 and 3 exclusives in October, a month after Destiny 2 launches.
I mean, look, I of course I can say that because I'm on primarily on the PS4 platform.
Yep.
But for me, it's a lot of like, the one thing that sucks is the strike. But for me, what is even worse is that the strike can never become the Nightfall for the week, or Zerg cannot sell that exotic weapon. And that is actually it's annoying. That to me is what affects me the most from the content exclusivity. Does content exclusivity suck? Yes, but look at the sales that could we just go back to the tower?
Oh.
Look at the sales it garnered for Destiny on PlayStation. It worked. So a publisher like Activision is not going to say, oh, the guy, people on Reddit.
No.
Like, they're going to follow their sales. Like, it's a business at the end of the day.
And even when you look at a lot of the...
That gaming is not... No business is just there to exist to cater to your preferences.
No.
Business exists to line people's pockets with money.
To get money.
Just be realistic about it a little bit. I don't think content exclusivity is going anywhere anytime soon.
No, it's going to be there.
If you want the best experience for Destiny, you should hop ship to
you should.
PlayStation.
Exactly.
You should also hop ship for all the tons of exclusives. I have all the machines, I have all the consoles, but
because you have both consoles.
Because there's so much more.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Horizon, Crash Bandicoot, but that could actually jump ship to Xbox eventually.
You want to leave and go to the tower?
Yeah, I gotta get going.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's wrap this up. But I think that it's exciting times ahead, and I'm really looking forward to see what the changes are going to be with the subclasses. And I was actually, I don't know about you, but I was actually hoping for a new subclass entirely.
Well, do you think that that's being hidden? Because I think that what they're hiding is potentially new subclasses somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether that be in the vanilla release of Z2 or the expansions to come.
Yep.
Also, we see that the clusters in each subclass, that there's room for additional clusters on the screen. That's an easy way to add content for each expansion and whatnot. And also new enemy races or designs for enemies. I'm sure they're hiding stuff with enemies.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are definitely some hidden, people are saying, oh, there's no new enemies because they didn't show it off at the reveal. Well, of course they're going to hide that. They're going to hide that for the actual release. And I hope to God they hide that there are lots of surprises for the actual game. I hope there's tons of surprises. And I hope enemy factions and maybe a new subclass would be awesome. We know we're supposed to be getting all 3. For the vanilla release, we're supposed to get each class will get the 3 subclasses. We know that.
Yeah, we know that.
Or at least it's highly suggested.
Yeah.
What do you think you're gonna main for the beta?
Well, I'm like you as well. My main has always been a warlock. So, and I'll definitely be.
Might change for Destiny 2.
After seeing the characters, just how they play, and what's the new subclass called for the warlock? The
Dawnblade.
Dawnblade. Like I've always been a warlock, so the Dawnblade is very tempting for me, and I can definitely say that it's something that I'm really looking forward to.
It's a power fantasy that that he just gets to.
Yep, and
swarm people with the wrath of fire with your sword. I mean, it's the most ostensibly it looks like the most fun to play.
Yeah, and the thing is,
the Sentinel Titan is amazing because of the versatility of being able to either put up a defender bubble, or we haven't really seen it in action yet. We'll see it in the beta.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to try the Sentinel. That's the Void Titan.
So have they
the bubble, and he gets to throw his Captain America shields around.
So have they
really versatile build?
Have they removed the self-res then from the warlock entirely?
Self-res has been removed from the game. They found it game breaking, especially involving the cheats and raids. With a lot of self-res caused a lot of problems with like the bridge and Crota and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Removed it. From what I understand, it's completely gone from the game. There's no subclass that will now be realigned with self-res. No, it's gone.
Well, it better be. Yeah, we'll see. I'm really looking forward to what we're gonna have in a couple of weeks to play with, and then see what kind of secrets they've promised us, and said what we can discover.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm super excited. I mean, look, no game that I can recall creates this much press conversation about a game that's still not even...
I mean, look at all the people they flew out. They flew out to LA. Where was it? No, where did they fly them out to? For the reveal?
To LA, yeah.
Yeah, they flew them all out there and hosted a huge conference. With
this is a very important game. It's gonna sell like crazy.
I know Blizzard does similar things,
but the conversation that this game has is insane. Like on the PS4 Reddit, the day that they announced that there are no more fixed perks on, or that there are now fixed perks on every weapon in Destiny 2. The PS4 Reddit, not even the Destiny Reddit, it was like the top article for the day, and it had hundreds, thousands of comments about people talking about that decision. And the fact that game, just a one little element of a game, is creating such a conversation on a PS4 general forum, where usually it's like dominated by, oh, look at this new gameplay trailer, or what are you guys' impressions of Crash Bandicoot remake?
Yeah.
The fact that was the number one most discussed topic speaks volumes about the impact of Destiny, and how much people are looking forward to Destiny 2.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. But thanks for thanks for taking your time out to
oh, you're welcome.
Have this in-depth discussion.
Very in-depth.
And I'm looking forward to the beta, and then hearing what your opinions are, and then we can discuss that again and see, because then we can compare it to other people's experiences, and their compared versus to their expectations, and see what
I've already heard people say that a pole dancer needs to be nerfed, because apparently in her
really
super, she's super evasive, and people are like, oh, if you're a big PvP kid, pole dancer. I'm calling it pole. What's her actual name?
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to the names that's going to be coming out for that. So the pole dancer is very evasive. Okay.
Yeah, apparently she can evade like pretty easily during her super.
Okay.
So that she's like a #1 to try out for PvP.
Well, I'm going to try and see. Can we try out more than one character during the? I'm sure we can during the beta.
Oh, of course.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
you could try out all 6 subclasses, because there's 6 confirmed subclasses.
Yeah.
In the beta. We also get to try out the new Void Warlock, which we have not seen anything.
No, we haven't seen anything.
We've only seen it in trailers. We've seen that the Warlock used the Nova Bomb.
Yeah.
Or we saw Ikora used a Nova Bomb.
Yeah,
well.
we saw her like destroy that ship with it.
So we know it's in the game. We know the Void Warlock is in the game, but we don't know any of the changes yet.
No.
And I'm assuming there's not too much change because we haven't heard a single thing about it.
Yeah, because I think this is going to be
2 weeks.
like the Stormcaller and the Voidwalker. Those are things that haven't showed at all. And I mean, if the Dawnblade is
Stormcaller, it's not going to be in the beta. So the 3 subclasses from Taken King are not in the beta.
okay.
So I think they're saving those for the main release.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to see what changes there's going to be, because if Dawnblade is such a huge difference, I can't wait to see what changes they've brought into the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I will see you on July 18th.
Yeah, and we'll be having this discussion again and see what's happened. Well, thanks, Troy.
It's exciting. It's like a super exciting time to be.
Yeah. No, I can't wait. Anyway, thank you so much.
You have a good one, AWOC.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, and see you later.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.